3/24 policy with a quote of $2,238,075. So I felt that that was a great quote. Of course, I did some additional work, and meaning that, London is notorious for not necessarily being on time. So I was able to work with them, and they did agree to a third-party administrator who will be working in the United States with me. The third-party administrator will be handling all the claims, and the third-party administrator will have the purse of Beazley is going to be the new insurer of Beazley, so that there are no lapses or no waiting for reimbursement to our insureds. So that's what we did. Beazley is, again, the insurer. There are a couple other syndicates on the policy, but they're only at about 20%. Beazley has the lion's share of this coverage. So looking again at what the quoted premium from London was, that's $2,238,075. That is a $114,000 decrease over what Great American quoted us at $2,352,263. Thought it was a great idea, or a great deal. And again, just to let you know, remind you again, the TPA is United States based, and we will be using attorneys that are in North Carolina representing our insured in litigated matters. Also, if there's there is an attorney reimbursement on this policy, and again, our insureds or our employees can choose the attorney of their choice when it comes to employment related issues. And one last thing, Beazley, I want you to know, is a very strong insurer. They have an excellent rating with Best, which is the company that looks at all the ratings within the insurance industry. Again, an excellent rating with a $2 billion capacity. So I feel that we're in good hands. We've already had 2 claims on this policy because it was a 9/1 renewal, and I've had great results with the third-party administrator, talking them through. So I think we're on our way. Again, I'm asking for your approval for this so that we can get the premium paid and we can be on our merry way. I don't have anything else unless somebody has a question.
Eileen, before we open up for questions, one question always arises when you make this switch. If it's a claims-made policy, whether there's a need to buy tail coverage. Can you comment on that for us?
So no, there is no tail coverage because there's no gap. So the new insurer picked up 9/1. So it's not where we would have a gap. So we're fine.
Yeah, I think that's just reassuring to get that information out.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. The gap, if we had to buy a gap, that would be highly expensive, and we're good. So there is no gap, again, because we did go with a 9/1 date.
All right, very good. Questions or comment?
Mr. Chair, this is Treasurer Falwell. Just a quick question, if I may. Thank you, Ms. Pamplin. Based on the last question, very briefly, if there was an occurrence that occurred under the tail refers to something that may have occurred before 9/1, the previous insurer has the responsibility to continue to work on that tail, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And so, I did have conversations with Great American, and they will be right there to work with us, yes, on any claim pre-9/1/2023. So they have responsibility, and that is the contract that they bought into when they began insuring us.
Second question is, and thank you for taking advantage of our largeness. This is something I worked on 14 years ago as a legislator. I presume that a lot of this coverage would protect our teachers, for example, who may be frivolously sued. Is that correct?
Oh, that's absolutely correct.
And I just want to remind all the newer members of the Board of Education that this is a quote perk or benefit that many of them are having to spend hundreds of dollars a year on to be a member of an organizations that provide this coverage. And 14 years ago, I worked on, we should be providing this coverage for all teachers under one big umbrella policy, and this negotiation is the result of that. So thank you for doing that, and congratulations on taking advantage of our largeness.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Vice Chair Duncan, this is Olivia.
Dr. Oxendine.
Well, it's almost to the point that the treasurer was making. I paid very close attention, Ms. Townsend, to your presentation, and it was very informative. You know what? I just think that I hope our teachers understand that they have this benefit. It's so many times I think the benefits, we talk about salary a lot, and it isn't where it needs to be. But if you think about a bigger picture with benefits such as what we're hearing about today added to the big package, it's just amazing. North Carolina is doing a really good job. We can always do better, but we're doing such a good job to support our teachers, educators, right down to custodians. And they're very vulnerable to suits. So I'm just so pleased to learn a little bit more about your work and about the item that you're bringing to us today. I just think we need to get the word out some way to our teachers. Maybe it's the responsibility of superintendents or directors of HR to just present the total picture of how the state is supporting educators. So thank you, Vice Chair Duncan.
Thank you, Dr. Oxendine.
And if I may,
Any other questions?
I'm sorry, if I may make a comment. I do at every opportunity, whenever I speak, whenever I'm invited to thank or whatever, I always mention this policy. And I have encouraged through emails all of the schools, all of the LEAs to include this benefit when they go over all the benefits with employees. So it's there. We also have a website that's available to employees at any time. They can go and they can look at it. All the coverage is laid out, phone numbers and everything. So it is a very active policy. So I do believe that a lot of our folks know about it. And certainly if an employee is sued, generally speaking, their counsel is going to recommend that they get in touch with me, and of course I'll lay the groundwork for them how to file the claim. So, but you're right, it is important that we remind the schools as much as possible that this is there, because it does cover everybody, and it also covers bus drivers. Generally a policy excludes an automobile type of claim. But this policy, I've included the bus drivers because they're vulnerable too. Unfortunately, anything they do where a child's hurt, they are going to be sued. And this policy has been very, very good for the bus drivers as well.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I'll make a motion. I just want to compliment Mrs. Townsend. I worked with her also 12 years ago on workers' comp reform. And I'd like to remind the Board of Education of all the businesses and all the companies and all the governments in our state. The single largest beneficiary of workers' comp reform was North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, because we're the biggest users of the system. So she's done a great job in reducing cost. And to Mrs. Oxendine's point, when it comes to these benefits, it's not apples and oranges. The Texas teachers, for example, do not pay into the Social Security system. And so when we're trying to compare pay and compare benefits, it's important as we go forward that we're working off the same page, because Texas teachers opted out of the Social Security system probably 50 or 60 years ago, and that's, as you know, probably 12% of salary. So all these things are very important. Thank you, Mrs. Oxendine. Thank you, Mrs. Townsend.
Thank you all.
So are there any other questions or comments? I'll close by saying, just as an indication, the premium is less, but it's also, that's remarkable in the sense that we also now have defense costs being paid as part of the policy, which was not the case before we had an eroding policy limit, and now we don't have that in there. That's a very significant additional benefit worth a significant amount of money. Mm-hmm. So we, again, should pause and thank Dr. Townsend and all those who work with her to to congratulate them on good work done, and we look forward to moving forward with this new carrier. That is our report.
Thank you.
Motion to approve at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Duncan. I hear the treasurer making a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
I second Olivia
By Dr.
Oxendine.
Oxendine. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Petrie Martin, will you call the roll to capture the vote?
Dr. Oxendine,
Yes.
Mrs. Kamnitz,
Yes.
Mr. Keenan,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Dr. Tipton Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Blackburn,
Yes.
Treasurer Falwell,
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Robinson, Vice Chair Duncan, and Chair Davis.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That concludes our agenda items for this special called meeting. I now call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by the treasurer. Is there a second?
Second.
Sorry, was there a second?
Second.
Is that by Mr. Keenan?
Yes.
Dr. Petrie Martin?
Dr. Oxendine,
Yes.
Mrs. Kamnitz,
Yes.
Mr. Keenan,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Dr. Tipton Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Blackburn,
Yes.
Treasurer Falwell,
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Robinson, Vice Chair Duncan,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes. Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, I